It all began on a quiet, uneventful afternoon. Liam and his friends, Mia, Zane, and Ellie, were looking for something to do. That's when Zane, always the thrill seeker, suggested exploring the old abandoned library at the edge of town. Rumor had it that the place was haunted, but Zane shrugged off the stories as superstition. The group arrived at the library just before sunset. The building was a crumbling relic, its windows cracked, and its doors barely holding on to rusted hinges. Inside, the air was thick with dust, and the faint smell of mildew lingered. But curiosity drove them forward, deeper into the forgotten corridors. Ellie, the ever-curious one, noticed something odd behind a collapsed bookshelf. "Guys, over here," she called. She pointed to a glint of metal peeking out from the rubble. Together, they cleared the debris, revealing a strange device. It was a circular artifact, about the size of a dinner plate, with intricate engravings on its surface. The center was an iridescent crystal that seemed to pulse faintly, as if alive. "What is it?" Mia asked, her voice tinged with both awe and fear. Zane grinned. "Whatever it is, it's ours now." He reached out to grab it, but as his fingers brushed the crystal, the artifact emitted a bright, blinding flash of light. When the light faded, the group found themselves standing in the same library, but it wasn't abandoned anymore. The shelves were full of books, and the once broken windows now let in streams of sunlight. They could hear voices and footsteps. "Where are we?" Liam asked, his voice shaky. "I think the question is, when are we?" Mia whispered, staring at the bustling scene before them. As the group tried to process what had just happened, the crystal in the artifact started glowing again, this time more erratically. Ellie panicked. "We have to figure out how to turn it off before." But before she could finish, the device pulsed again, and the group was yanked back into the present. They stumbled into the dusty, empty library, their hearts racing. Mia held up the artifact, now dim and quiet. "This thing, it's some kind of time machine." Liam's eyes narrowed as he looked at it. "Whatever it is, we have to figure out how to control it. Who knows what could happen next time?" Little did they know, their lives were about to change forever. What secrets does the artifact hold? And who else might be after it? Tune in to the next episode of Chrono Seekers. After their harrowing encounter in the underground chamber, Ethan, Maya, and Luca return to the safety of their home, trying to process everything that's happened. They can't stop thinking about the mysterious figure they encountered in the chamber. What was it? Why was it watching them? They decide to focus on unlocking the key's secrets. Back at school, Luca starts researching time travel myths and ancient artifacts. He stumbles across a strange theory about time rifts, places where time itself becomes unstable. These rifts, Luca learns, have been known to tear apart reality, creating anomalies that can warp the past, present, and future. As Maya and Ethan listen, the pieces begin to fit together. The key they found might be linked to these rifts. It could be the very thing holding back the collapse of time. Ethan and Maya make a pact to find out more, no matter what it takes. That night, the trio heads to the location marked on the map from episode 2, the site of the time rift. It's located in the old part of town, an abandoned clock tower, rumored to be the center of strange phenomena. Ethan is determined to unlock its power. Upon arriving, they find the tower even more imposing than they expected. The ground around the building is cracked, as if something powerful has been buried there for centuries. As they explore the clock tower's interior, they begin to feel the strange sensation that time is bending. The air grows heavy, and the clocks inside the tower tick erratically, their hands spinning out of control. Suddenly, a flash of light blinds them, and the rift opens. They're sucked into a whirlwind of distorted memories, old versions of themselves flashing before their eyes, and twisted versions of their town. They struggle to stay grounded, but the rift pulls them into a world where time doesn't make sense. They land in a broken cityscape, with strange floating debris and buildings that appear to flicker between the past and future. The rules of time are completely bent here, and Ethan realizes they need to find a way out fast before they become trapped in the rift forever. But there's someone else here, a mysterious figure similar to the one they saw before in the chamber. This figure seems to know more about the rift than anyone else, and he's determined to stop them from escaping. Ethan and his friends must face this new threat before it's too late. As they battle the mysterious figure, the rift starts to destabilize even more, and the kids have to use the key to close it. With a final push, the key activates and the rift collapses. The kids find themselves back in their town, but it's not the same as before. Time has been altered. Ethan realizes they're running out of time. They need to figure out who or what is controlling the rifts before they break everything apart. The episode begins right after the mysterious artifact was found. Maya, Luca, and Ethan are all still processing the strange powers the artifact seems to hold. The kids feel a mixture of awe and anxiety, realizing that they have just discovered something far more significant than they initially believed. As they sit in the school library, they start to notice strange occurrences. Books flickering, shadows that move when no one is around, and whispers in the wind. They realize that these disturbances are somehow connected to the artifact. Determined to understand more, Ethan suggests they look for hidden clues that could explain what the artifact is. The group heads to the school's basement, where the old records are kept. There, Maya stumbles upon an ancient leather-bound book with cryptic symbols. As they open the book, they find a map of their town that marks several mysterious locations, one of which is an old underground chamber under the school. The map hints that unlocking this chamber could reveal the next step in the artifact's mystery. Excited by the discovery, the kids sneak into the basement one evening and make their way through a hidden passage that leads to the chamber. The room is filled with dusty relics and old furniture, but there's one peculiar object in the center, a large stone door adorned with glowing symbols. It looks like something out of an old myth. Luca tries to touch one of the symbols, and to their amazement, the door begins to rumble and crack open slightly, revealing a faint light. But they soon realize that the door is locked and can only be opened with a key. As they search the chamber for a key, Maya discovers a small hidden compartment in the wall, revealing a glowing key. When she picks it up, the room vibrates with energy. However, as she gets closer to the door, they hear footsteps echoing in the distance. Someone or something is watching them. They look around but see nothing. The tension rises as the kids realize they might not be alone. Could the mysterious force behind the artifact be aware of their presence? Suddenly, a shadowy figure appears in the shadows, watching them from the corner. It vanishes quickly before they can approach, leaving only an eerie chill in the air. The kids stand frozen, unsure of what to do next. Should they continue to open the door, or is it too dangerous? They quickly leave the chamber, knowing that they must return when they figure out the purpose of the key. After barely escaping the Chrono Hunter, Ethan, Maya, and Luca take refuge in a hidden cave, their only sanctuary from the relentless pursuit. The cave walls are adorned with ancient symbols glowing faintly, depicting the creation of the crystals of Chronos and their connection to the fabric of time itself. Inside, they discover an ancient relic, a time projection device, that allows them to view fragmented glimpses of alternate futures. Ethan activates the device, and a kaleidoscope of potential timelines unfolds before them. In one vision, they see a world where the Chrono Hunter captures Ethan, leading to the crystal falling into the wrong hands, plunging the world into chaos. In another, they see a future where they succeed in stopping the chaos, but at a great personal cost. As they try to decipher the meaning of the visions, the cave begins to tremble. Maya deduces that the Chrono Hunter has tracked the crystal's energy signature and is closing in. Before they can leave, the hunter appears at the entrance, blocking their escape. The trio realizes they must use the projection device to trap the hunter temporarily. Maya hacks the device, amplifying its power, while Luca distracts the hunter with quick maneuvers. Ethan channels the crystal's energy, activating the device at its peak. The cave is engulfed in a burst of light as the projection device ensnares the hunter in a loop of alternate timelines. The hunter struggles but is momentarily immobilized. The trio seizes the opportunity to escape the cave, leaving behind the only tool that could help them understand their mission. As they regroup outside, Ethan is haunted by the visions of the fractured futures. He realizes that their journey is leading them toward a final confrontation with the true source of the chaos. But at what cost? After barely escaping the time rift in the previous episode, Ethan, Maya, and Luca return to their normal lives. But things don't feel quite right. Time feels off. Moments seem out of place, and there are strange objects appearing in their town that they can't explain. The feeling of being followed is overwhelming. The group is determined to learn more about the mysterious figure controlling the rifts. They go back to Luca's house to research and uncover more ancient texts and artifacts that might hold clues to the rift's origin. Luca stumbles upon a lost artifact hidden in one of the old books. It's a crystal of Chronos, an ancient object that supposedly holds the power to stabilize time. As Ethan holds the crystal, they begin to feel the effects. Time glitches appear in their surroundings, and they catch glimpses of different versions of themselves. Maya feels a sense of dread when she realizes they're not alone in the house. A faint, eerie voice echoes from behind them, warning them to put the crystal down. Suddenly, the mysterious figure appears in the doorway. He is different this time. His cloak is tattered, and his eyes are glowing brightly. He demands that they hand over the crystal of Chronos, claiming that it's too powerful to be in the wrong hands. The kids refuse, and a battle breaks out inside Luca's house. The figure's power seems to warp time itself, creating distortions in the environment. Time slows, speeds up, and loops in strange ways. Ethan and his friends manage to break free from the figure's grasp, but in the chaos, Luca drops the crystal. It rolls across the floor, activating a new rift that pulls them all into a new dimension, a dimension of endless clockwork machinery. The kids must navigate this new realm, which is like an endless factory of gears and cogs that move in sync with the flow of time. The mysterious figure is hot on their heels, and the clock is ticking. If they can't find a way out of this dimension, they'll be trapped forever. In the final moments of the episode, Ethan spots an exit in the form of a massive, glowing door that seems to pulse with time energy. They race towards it, but the figure is right behind them, and just as they reach the door, the rift begins to collapse. Will they escape in time, or will they be trapped in the clockwork world forever? In the aftermath of narrowly escaping the clockwork dimension, Ethan, Maya, and Luca find themselves trapped in an eerie, misty forest filled with strange floating clocks. Time seems to be ticking backward here, and the trees appear to flicker in and out of existence. They realize that they are in the nexus, the intersection of multiple timelines, where time behaves unpredictably. As the trio begins to explore the strange forest, they notice that the environment is slowly starting to shift and change. The trees and ground distort, as if the very fabric of time is breaking apart. The mysterious figure, who has been following them, appears once again, this time more powerful than ever. He reveals himself to be the Chrono Warden, a guardian of the timeline, tasked with keeping the flow of time intact. He warns them that their actions are destabilizing the fabric of reality, and that they must give up the crystal of Chronos or face dire consequences. Ethan refuses to hand over the crystal, feeling that it holds the key to understanding the source of his power and the mysterious events that have been unfolding. The Chrono Warden offers them a deal. He will let them leave the Nexus safely if they return the crystal. But the kids are reluctant to trust him. As tensions rise, a new force emerges from the mist. A strange, mechanical creature resembling a giant clockwork spider. The Chrono Warden orders the creature to attack them, believing they are a threat to the stability of the universe. The kids must fight back, but they soon realize that the Chrono Warden himself is controlling the creature's movements through the manipulation of time. Maya and Luca try to hold off the creature, while Ethan faces the Chrono Warden in an epic battle of wits and powers. During the fight, Ethan manages to tap into the crystal's power, temporarily freezing time around them. But the victory is short-lived as the Chrono Warden uses his control over the Nexus to speed up time, forcing the kids into a desperate race to escape. With the clockwork spider closing in on them, the kids must think quickly. They find a hidden time portal in the forest, but it's unstable and quickly collapsing. The group has no choice but to leap through the portal, hoping it will lead them to safety. As they tumble through time and space, they catch a glimpse of something strange, a distant figure watching them from the shadows. Who is this mysterious watcher? And what role do they play in the children's journey? The episode ends with the portal closing, leaving the kids uncertain of where, or when, they'll land next. Ethan, Maya, and Luca emerge from the time portal in a strange, forgotten city that seems to exist outside of time. The air is thick with dust, and the buildings, though grand and ancient, appear to be frozen in time, never changing, never aging. The forgotten city is a place lost to history, and none of them can figure out exactly where or when they are. As they explore the eerie ruins, they notice strange symbols carved into the walls and ground, symbols that seem to shift when they aren't looking directly at them. Ethan begins to feel a strange pull, as if something in this city is calling to him. The crystal of Chronos begins to glow brighter in his pocket, its power resonating with the city's energy. The trio splits up to search for answers. Maya and Luca discover an ancient library hidden beneath the city, filled with books and scrolls about time manipulation. But it's guarded by strange creatures that seem to be made of shifting sands. Meanwhile, Ethan stumbles upon an ancient temple at the center of the city, where he meets a mysterious guardian who has been watching over the city for centuries. This guardian, an ageless figure known as Azura, warns Ethan about the time anomaly that brought them here. She tells him that the city is not merely stuck in time. It is a prison, trapping anyone who enters, preventing them from leaving or moving forward in time. Ethan learns that the Crystal of Chronos has a unique connection to the city, and only by solving its hidden puzzles will he be able to unlock the truth behind the Chrono Seekers and their journey. The Guardian tells them that the city itself holds a key to unlocking their next destination. However, the moment Ethan touches the crystal in the temple, the city begins to shake, and the sands of time begin to flood the streets. The forgotten city is collapsing. The kids must race against time, quite literally, to escape the collapsing city before it is completely destroyed. They encounter deadly traps, unravel the city's ancient puzzles, and are forced to work together in ways they never thought possible. Their bond as a team grows stronger as they overcome each challenge, learning more about the power of the Crystal of Chronos with each passing moment. Just when they think they have made it out, they are faced with a massive chasm that seems to stretch endlessly. The kids must leap across the gap, with the sands of time rising up to swallow the city behind them. The episode ends on a cliffhanger as Luca begins to fall, and Ethan has to make a life-changing decision: save his friend or risk everything to escape the city. After narrowly escaping the forgotten city, Ethan, Maya, and Luca find themselves in a lush, eerie forest where the air seems to hum with whispers. Time feels distorted, as though they're caught between moments. As they try to make sense of their surroundings, the Crystal of Chronos begins to glow faintly, and Ethan starts hearing faint voices calling his name. The voices lead them to a crumbling stone altar, surrounded by glowing plants that pulse with rhythmic light. When Ethan places the crystal on the altar, a holographic image appears, showing a fragmented timeline, a series of distorted events involving a shadowy figure manipulating time. The figure seems to know Ethan, referring to him by name and mentioning his connection to the Seeker's prophecy. Maya suggests they investigate further, but the forest suddenly comes alive. The trees twist and shift, trapping the trio in a maze of time echoes, forcing them to relive fragments of their own pasts. Ethan sees flashes of himself as a child, playing in a park, but something feels off. There's always a shadowy figure watching him in these memories. As they navigate the maze, they encounter a young girl trapped in an echo of the past, crying out for help. She turns out to be a projection of someone connected to the Seeker's history, a warning from the past about the dangers of meddling with time. The projection reveals that the Crystal of Chronos holds the power to rewrite time but comes at a terrible cost. It demands sacrifices from its wielder. The episode crescendos as the trio faces a manifestation of their fears in the forest, represented by distorted versions of themselves. Ethan, with newfound courage, uses the Crystal of Chronos to dispel the illusions, shattering the maze and revealing a hidden path forward. As they leave the forest, the holographic projection reappears, warning them that they are being hunted by an unseen enemy who grows closer with every moment. The episode ends with the ominous sound of footsteps echoing in the distance, leaving the trio uneasy about their next destination. Ethan, Maya, and Luca have left the eerie forest behind, but the tension lingers as they travel down a narrow path marked with ancient carvings. The cryptic warnings from the holographic projection haunt them, especially the mention of an enemy closing in. Their journey takes them to an abandoned village frozen in time, where clocks stand still and shadows seem unnaturally long. As they explore the silent streets, they find signs of a battle, scorch marks, shattered buildings, and discarded weapons, all eerily untouched by time. In one house, Ethan discovers a journal written by a former seeker, describing an entity known as the Chrono Hunter. The Hunter is a relentless pursuer, tasked with capturing those who meddle with time. The journal reveals that the Hunter is nearly unstoppable, appearing out of temporal rifts to strike without warning. Before they can process the new information, time itself begins to warp around them. The air grows heavy, and the shadows move unnaturally. A rift opens in the center of the village, and a tall, imposing figure steps through. A figure cloaked in swirling shadows with glowing, piercing eyes. The Chrono Hunter. The Hunter immediately targets Ethan, drawn by the crystal of Chronos. Ethan and his friends attempt to run, but the Hunter uses its powers to slow time, causing everything around it to move in sluggish motion. Ethan, struggling against the time distortion, remembers the journal's advice. The Hunter can be distracted by disrupting its connection to the temporal rift. With Maya and Luca's help, Ethan devises a plan. Maya uses her tech skills to create a temporary electromagnetic pulse using scraps from the village, while Luca bravely distracts the Hunter by throwing debris at it. Ethan, clutching the crystal, positions himself near the rift and channels its energy. In a climactic moment, Ethan releases a burst of power, destabilizing the rift and forcing the Hunter to retreat. The village begins to crumble, as the disruption causes the frozen time to unravel. The trio barely escapes, exhausted but victorious. As they recover, Ethan realizes the Hunter won't stop chasing them. The stakes have never been higher, and their journey is far from over. Ethan, Maya, and Luca finally reach the ancient temple that is said to be the origin of the crystals of Chronos. The structure towers above them, its surface covered in glowing runes and time-twisting mechanisms. Inside, they discover a central chamber where a massive, pulsating core, the heart of Chronos, is tethered to the flow of time itself. As they approach the heart, the Chrono Hunter reappears, freed from the trap in the cave. This time, the Hunter is more determined than ever, wielding a fragment of time energy that amplifies its power. A fierce battle ensues, with Ethan using the crystal to shield his friends and counter the Hunter's devastating attacks. During the fight, Maya discovers an ancient inscription. The heart can only be stabilized if the crystal's energy is returned to it. However, doing so will render the crystal powerless. Ethan will lose his connection to time and his abilities forever. Ethan hesitates, torn between preserving his powers and fulfilling his destiny. As the Hunter's attacks intensify, Luca steps forward, rallying the group with a heartfelt plea. "You've always fought for others, Ethan. That's your real power." With renewed resolve, Ethan channels the crystal's energy into the heart of Chronos. The chamber is consumed by a blinding light as time itself begins to stabilize. The Chrono Hunter, deprived of its stolen energy, crumbles into dust. As the light fades, the group finds themselves outside the temple, the crystal now lifeless in Ethan's hand. The world feels different, calmer, more stable. Ethan looks at his friends and says, "It's over. But this is just the beginning of our story." The trio walks into the horizon, their bond stronger than ever, ready to face whatever comes next.